So Arius the Labyrinth Butler is one of several cards that people were looking for from Age of Overlord. It is a level 6 monster that you can send from the hand or field to the graveyard in order to set a normal trap card from your hand onto the field and then use it right away. Yeah, it's not like Dust Tornado where you can set a card but not use it because it sucks. And it also has a very neat graveyard effect that allows you to revive itself back whenever your opponent activates a card or effect in response to your normal trap card or your Labyrinth card. It takes into account card effects and activations, so it'll pretty much always resolve. Well, a card that can generically allow you to use really broken normal trap cards on turn 0 looks kinda broken, right? I mean, this card is free real estate in the Labyrinth deck itself for slightly obvious reasons, of course. It's easily searchable, gets you a lot of recursion alongside your other furniture monsters, and also makes your engine easier to access. Not to mention that this card being a level 6 is actually pretty nice. It opens up the door to rank 6 plays like Beatrice or Wallow, or Chaos Angel if you're using Ariana. This card has a lot going for it and should be considered in every trap deck out there. Or is it? Is this card truly amazing, or are we hyping it a little too much? So once this card was finally out in the OCG, I started paying close attention to its overall usage in competitive tournaments. And shockingly enough, I actually struggled finding any deck lists that were playing this card. At most, some lists were playing 2 copies of this card, but most deck lists were not playing it whatsoever. This is in stark contrast with Kuklock, which is basically always a 2 of or 3 of in every single deck list. So it got me thinking, why would Kuklock be that much better than Arius? And also, why would it be a 3 of if Arius has to be a 0 of? Why can people not do like a 2-2 ratio? This is hard to answer because there's just so many variables to take into consideration here. So Kuklock has a lot of inherent synergy with the other furniture monsters, so, you know, Stovey and Chandra, because you're going to be using your Kuklock first, and then your Chandra Stovey, get yourself a big welcome, and then revive back the Kuklock, and then use your big welcome, summon the lovely, and then bounce back the Kuklock and destroy a card. Whereas Arius, on the other hand, doesn't really have that sort of interaction with the other furniture monsters. With Arius, you have to specifically physically hard draw the normal trap card that you're trying to use, whereas Kuklock actually gives you a little more freedom, and you're also setting the trap card right away from your deck with the other furniture monsters. The power level of Arius is obviously much higher than the one of Kuklock if you're going second on turn 0, because you can abuse generic normal trap cards such as D-Barrier right away. Whereas with Kuklock, again, you're not going to be able to really do that efficiently if you're going second. But then again, you do have the graveyard effect of transaction rollback in order to help you fill in that niche application. But in a mirror match, this card isn't just niche, it's really nice. And that's where I started making correlation between people's deck lists. The only top performing deck list that was even playing Arius to begin with also was playing 2 Kuklock and 2 Transaction Rollback. And honestly, I am a pretty big fan of this 2-2-2 approach. Whenever I feel like a 3 of might be bricky, I decide to cut the 3rd copy and maybe the 3rd copy of something else, and just play a 2 of another card that just kind of fulfills a similar role. And in this context, Arius does just that. But you do have to build in consequence. Arius only really shines in trap-heavy builds of Labyrinth because, again, you have to physically hard draw the normal trap card that you're trying to use. Whereas the furniture build, on the other hand, you can actually draw 5 monsters and it's perfectly fine. It's actually normal in that deck. Yeah, that's why I always laugh when people say that Labyrinth is a trap deck.
Lamau.
Anyways, all of that to say that yes, Arius is in fact a very good card and a card that you probably should be considering in your Labyrinth deck. I personally would be running 2 copies of this card in the trap heavy build, but probably no more than 1 copy in the furniture build. But at the end of the day, these ratios are for you to figure out and tweak depending on the way you deck build. And maybe, just maybe, we overhyped Arius a little bit too much and this card will not really be seeing too much play generically. But at the same time, I could be completely wrong because TCG players are always super innovative. With that said, that's all I had for this video, so guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys very soon. Peace.